Well, I'm excited. Um, Maybe a little nervous is probably better, but there's that saying that, are you nervous? You excited? I don't know. Here's the thing. For a long time, I've been intending to put more content here onto YouTube, and so I will go through and I'll record some kind of video or tutorial or something, and I'll record how to do whatever it is that I've learned how to do. And then what happens is I start recording or I start editing the video that I recorded, and I have maybe some perfectionism in me, and it just doesn't work. I start watching the video that I recorded, and I'm like, I just talked in circles, or I made no sense there at all. And so this last week, as I was going for a little drive with my wife and I was kind of talking to her about some of these things, what we came to the conclusion of is that until I have enough money or enough capital to go through and hire somebody to do the editing, really what needs to start happening is I need to just put the content out there. And the only way that's going to happen without me actually editing it is I need to do that in a live stream. So that's what we're gonna start doing. I'm gonna start just kind of explaining what it is that I'm doing in a live stream, and we're gonna go from there. Let's see. So there's gonna be a lot of mistakes. It's gonna be grand. Let's see where I am looking for. My chat widget. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I have my chat widget over here that I can see anything that comes in. If you have any questions, if I am not making any sense for whatever reason, then fantastic. I'm sorry, put it in the chat. We'll chat about it, So today what we're working on is I want to go through the process of installing WordPress. And there are 100 different tutorials on the internet for how to install WordPress. I do it a little different. And there are some tutorials on how to do it this way, but this is the process that I have been kind of curating and developing for the last 3 or 4 years in the way that it works really well for me. And it has a couple of moving parts. And so I wanted to just go through the whole process in kind of a speed run style, first to last. We're going to just get it all done. And then we're going to go back if there are questions, if there's anything that needs to be said, then or reiterated on, then we can go back and we can figure it out. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to do this in a speedrun style. If there is a spot that you feel like, hey, I need to get more detail on this, put it in the comments so that I can then either make another live stream either tomorrow or in the future, and we can go back over those pieces that I obviously skipped over. Because like I said, this is going to be more of a speedrun style experience. Okay, so the very first thing that I want to do is, actually we're going to go over here first, cloud. So I picked a specific domain that we're going to be going off of. So let me just get logged in here for a second, and we're going to go off of this domain. Let's see. Okay, so over here, I have, this is just a development domain that I have. So imagine this is your domain. What we have here is CloudFlare. Now, CloudFlare, as you know, is a DNS provider. That's what I normally use it for. And so we're going to use this to set up our DNS coming up here in just a minute. All right. Our next step is I put all of my WordPress development sites or client sites into a folder in my home directory. So cd development WordPress, and then we're going to do sites. And so now we're inside of this, and I have a bunch of other sites here. I'm not going to ls that out for now because I have a bunch of other sites I don't necessarily want to have everyone see at the moment, things coming up in the future, right? So we're going to make a new directory, cd dev ydtb.link, was it? Yeah. So dev-ydtb.link. Okay. That's right. Okay, so now we're inside of this folder. This is where the whole site is going to live. Before I actually get into this, though, as a second thought, let's talk a little bit about the tool stack that I want to use and that I have been using. Okay, so the stack that I'm using is Roots Trellis. Now there's a bunch of reasons why I love Roots Trellis, and I want to kind of just go through this. This is their homepage, and then I'm going to go through some of the documentation that they have. And some of the reasons, there's really two reasons, but some of the reasons why this is paramount for me, why I wouldn't do this any other way. All right. Okay. So what this is a complete WordPress server, but it comes in 3 different locations, right? It allows you to provision a remote server and deploy that and then you're able to roll that back if you need to. 0 downtime WordPress deployment. So when you make changes, you can roll that deploy out, and until everything is 100% working, then your production site doesn't go down. Super important on that one. It has a whole bunch of really cool software that gets automatically installed. It handles all of your SSL support. It handles doing everything through your SSH keys. And there's a bunch of other pieces that I think are really important. But let's see. Okay, so first off, what is Trellis? So Trellis itself is actually just a set of Ansible playbooks. You can think of an Ansible playbook as a series of instructions to tell a remote server how to do its thing. Here, let's jump back over here. So an Ansible playbook just allows your computer to tell a remote computer how to do installations or how to get configured or whatever. So that right there makes it super consistent for applying your WordPress updates. And like I was saying a second ago, there's 3 different places that goes. The first is your development server. So it spools up a virtual machine with all of the same software, operating system, configuration, so that you can do all of the development of the WordPress website locally, and then you can push that into your staging environment. You can make sure that everything is actually working in a production-like environment, and then if that works, then you can push everything into the actual production environment. So, yeah, we have Trellis. Trellis allows us to have all the software installed. It handles setting up a virtual machine for us so that we can do this. Okay, one more piece that I'm just thinking about right now is I do all of this on a Mac computer. You can do this on a Windows computer. I've tried it a couple of times, very cursory way, and I found that I don't I don't particularly like it for some reason. It just doesn't quite feel the same. So I'm doing all this on a Mac. It can be done on a Windows. I don't know if I would recommend that, but it can be done there. Everything that I'm doing is going to be based off of the a Mac doing this. All right. So, okay, there's one more piece that I want to talk about. Nope, that's not it. Actually, I want to jump over to this one. Okay, Composer. Composer is a PHP package manager for managing the different packages inside of whatever your project is. This is super important because there have been a couple of times in my WordPress career where something like this will happen. I will have a website that's running out there on a regular hosted server or whatever, and you log into the dashboard and it says there's some update available, right? One of the plugins has an update, and so then you're like, okay, cool. Like I want to like keep everything at the latest version, and so I'll go and I will click on the update button on a production server, and this dreaded thing happens is that you get a white screen of death where that update broke the website. And then you just start panicking because you're like, oh dear, it's down. It's a production website. And obviously, back earlier in my career, I didn't have very large websites. And so, I don't think anybody noticed, but for me, it's a stressful experience to go through and say, like, I have to figure out how to get this back up and running right now. And I remember just panicking when that would happen, and it was really stressful to do updates. Here's the problem is when you do that in a regular production website, the way that WordPress does those updates is it deletes the folder of the old version and it unzips the new folder, and then there you go. So unless you have a backup that you can roll back to, like, you can't go back. And so you have to like hope that the plugin producer, whoever is making that plugin, allows you to download old versions of the plugin, which are not necessarily easy to get to sometimes, and then install that version, all while you have this stress of like, hey, I got to get this up. I got to get this going. And so for me, that just wasn't going to be a thing that I was willing to do anymore. So going back to what is Composer? Composer allows you to treat every plugin on your website as if it's a package. And every package has a bunch of versions. And so then you can also, for WordPress specifically, you can go to wpackagist. And this is a mirror for all of the WordPress plugins, right? So this is the WordPress directory for all of the public plugins that are available that you could install from the WordPress like add new plugin button, right? This right here, this is the same exact thing, except every plugin is listed here as a Composer repository. And so if we just do Elementor, right? So you have here, this is Elementor, and so you can install this plugin via Composer through its slug. Let's see where we at. Yep. Okay, so why am I going into all of this? Well, Trellis and Bedrock, as the way that we're going through this process, use Composer and all of these packages to then install WordPress. What that means is that when we, additionally, everything is stored inside of Git, and instead of storing every line of code for all of the plugins, what will happen is that Trellis and Bedrock will store just the slug of what is the plugin that we have installed with the version, and then that allows Composer to go out and grab all of those plugins and then install that on your website. So if for whatever reason you need to roll back, that is allowed because you just say, hey, go back to the last version and then redeploy. So there is actually a rollback feature. But at the same time, if you wanted to, you could just roll it back by updating the version slug, go back and then deploy. And now, Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. Okay, so with all of that, this is for public plugins though. I have a solution for private plugins and I'm gonna show you that in a minute. But let's actually get started here. There is a CLI, and I wonder if there's any information here. Actually, wait, sorry, let's go back over to development here. Just keeping everything over here. Roots, Trellis, CLI. Okay, so I personally really like using this CLI because it comes with some amazing, let me see. You can't actually see what I'm seeing. Okay, if that happens, let me know, because I am not always the greatest at, switching back and forth yet, making mistakes. It's great. Okay. Over here, we have the Trellis CLI. And what this allows you to do is just do a lot of the commands via the command line that will allow you to do different things inside of Trellis. You can do it. You can install it here with brew install roots tap Trellis. And this is what we're going to be using. So there's also a way for us to create our own Trellis plugins that will allow us to run additional commands that are not listed here. And that's going to come into play in a little bit, but I will get to that in a minute for sure. All right, so let's jump back over to, let's jump back over to this. Hopefully I didn't lose too much information by not showing my screen earlier, but hey, what do you do? Okay, so like I said before, Trellis. So I'm going to use Trellis create, and Trellis create is my own command that does a few extra things. And if we jump back, I do want to jump back here because it shows off. So there is a Trellis new keyword, right? Creates a new Trellis project. And so my create actually just calls this Trellis new and then opens up the this folder in a Visual Studio Code workspace. Okay, so Trellis new, and the site domain here is whatever is your domain. For example, one of the things that I'm going to be working on coming up is I just closed a fairly large website deal, and I'm going to be showcasing a lot of the things that I'm adding to that. But I didn't want to kind of show off show off that one, the actual installation there. So we're going to do this one, and okay, select the main site host. I would usually recommend having the domain be just your domain. In the past, a lot of times people had the www dot and then the domain. I think that's going away quite a bit. And so we're going to be redirecting to the anything that goes from the www to the main site. And so that's what that means. All right, so it's going to go through this process for a second. And when it does, then we'll be able to, it'll open up this in our Visual Studio Code. And from there, we're going to be able to do a couple of updates. We're going to be able to add some of the variables to the site so that we can make sure that everything gets set up correctly. Additionally, I'm going to be using a command that I have written. It's another Ansible playbook called setup. And what the setup function does is, okay, so here we are. What the setup function does is it adds all of the different variables that I normally would add to a new project so that I don't have to go through this every time. I am going to do that. I am going to kind of like walk through the different variables that I think are important, but I'm still going to have my setup function do it because it also does a few other things. And we're going to do that in just a minute. But here we have these two folders. There's the site folder, which represents your WordPress site. And then there's the Trellis folder, which is the Ansible playbook to do all of the different things that that are required to actually make this stuff work. So, for example, under the site web, you're going to have the app, plugins, themes, and uploads. So this should look fairly familiar if you are doing any kind of WordPress development. We have the plugins, the themes, the uploads, and we're going to start adding stuff into that as we go. Okay, I'm going to open up the terminal. That's the Control tilde. If you need to open up the terminal, you can also click New Terminal up there. All right, so like I said, we're going to be running this command, the setup command, that goes through and adds all of the information to these group variables. And I'm going to explain those in just a minute. But before I do that, let's jump into what you need to look through to get updated. Everything is going to live inside this group vars folder here. You know, there is a ton of documentation in the roots Trellis documentation about what all of this stuff does. And so I do highly recommend go through there, look through, you know, all of that stuff. I'm going to do kind of just a quick setup here, and then we're going to go through it. I don't think you need to do anything in helpers. You don't need to do anything in known hosts. Mail, this is going to be the information for how your WordPress instance can send out mail. And so one of the things that my setup process does is I use Amazon AWS to do all of my sending of my emails. So AWS SES, right? All of my transactional emails get sent out through there. And so then all of this is going to be filled out by the setup function. And the setup function actually doesn't just fill out this information. It actually I've included with it my some of the keys to talk to Amazon and actually set up the accounts on Amazon to then give me the information to make the mail user, to make the to set up the permissions and the policies for that mail user. All of that goes through, and it just makes it super fast. Now, normally I just jump in here, I do Trellis new or Trellis create, and then I do Trellis setup, and it does all of this for me. We're just going through here to help you guys understand some of the different pieces. Okay, so that's mail. Under main, one of the things that you may want to do is, depending on kind of your website and where it's located, you may want to update the time zone. Under users, one of the things that I normally do is I will change this admin user from admin to John. And that's just, my name is John, so I go through that process. You can set that, you can leave it as admin if you want, but I will usually set this as admin. And then there's this vault, and this will be populated with all of the the different pieces that you want to keep secret. Now, all of this information does get saved to the repository, all of this vault information, but it gets saved in the repository as an encrypted file. And then it has here this vault pass, and don't worry, this is going to be just a throwaway site anyway. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this with just a tester, is because I want to be able to show you guys everything, and then I'm just going to throw it away later. So this vault pass is basically the password to decrypt all of the different vaults that we are going to be talking about. Now, one of the things that happens for me is after I have finished a project, then I will a lot of times clean it off of my development laptop, and I will leave it in the Git repository up on the internet. One of the things that I ran into earlier that was difficult was if I delete this whole file, this vault pass is not included in the files that get sent over to Git. And so then I won't have this file, and there's no way I'm going to like be able to figure that out. And so all of the vault information that's out there on Git goes away. And so it's just kind of that's kind of frustrating. Let's see. I'm just checking on the stream here. Let's stick this guy over here. Okay. Well, we're going to try it today and we'll see how it goes. And it looks like I need to work on getting a better connection to my router. Maybe I need to switch this to being not over my Wi-Fi, but over my Okay, I'm going to turn off my Wi-Fi and see if the stream drops. And if it does, then hey, you know. There we go. Okay. I mean, it looks like that's back. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Okay. You know, we're gonna continue. Why? Properties. You know, don't you love technology? You know. saying that my stream is not super strong. Let's go high. All right, we're gonna try switching to this other camera. See how that goes. Oops. Yeah, so I've been trying to use the iPhone camera because the video is a lot better on it, but sometimes it has problems. Let's try this one. There we go. That's certainly not quite as crisp, but hey, whatever. We're gonna keep going because the point of this for me is to just put the content out there, and we're gonna be moving on from there. Okay, back to it. Sorry, everybody. We're gonna go back to this. We have here the 3 different locations that we're going to be pushing doing work in, right? We have our development, we have our production, and we have our staging. And so the information here we're going to go through again. Let's see, there's none of this that's important that you need to change. None of this that you're going to need to change. Okay, so we have here the vault. The vault is going to be all of the information that is required, all of the secrets that WordPress is going to need to know about to go through and run correctly. So for example, this password right here is going to be the password that the admin user uses to log in the first time. Just for your information. Same with the production vault. It's right there. That's this one. Unless, of course, you overwrite the database by pushing the development into the production, which we're going to do, then this isn't going to be used. There's one other piece that I would like to show you real quick. And what it is, we're going to be using a private repository for all of the private plugins. So for Composer to authenticate to that private repository, it's going to need to put some, we're going to need to put those credentials into this file. But because I don't necessarily want to show you that at the moment, I'm just going to show you how it looks. And let's see, just hold on 1 minute. Group vars. I know you can't see this just yet, but okay. So what we're going to be doing, and if you are going to do some of the similar things that I'm doing in putting the Composer authentications into Trellis here, you'll want to set it up this way. So we're going to do Composer _ authentications : and then you're going to put, let's see, this is a dash host name : github.com. Obviously, if you have a different host, you're going to use a different one. And then username is going to be GHP _ and then whatever your key is, it's going to look something like that. It's just a key I made up. This is all the information it needs to actually go through and authenticate. Now, over on the GitHub side, what we're going to do, let's see if I can get this to pop over here. Let's see, GitHub. That's not actually what I want. Let me jump over here in this other one. Okay, so over here under GitHub, this is going to be under settings and personal access tokens under the developer. So maybe this is under settings, and then again under developer settings, personal access tokens. This allows us to let's see, which one is it? Yeah. So this right here will be the same. These are the what do you call them? Scopes. These are the scopes required to be able to download the information for downloading those plugins. So for example, repo, and I think that's it. We just need to be able to download that. Now, you're going to get the token there, and you can regenerate the token if you need to or whatever. Anyway, that's how that works. We need this composer authentications for downloading the stored plugins. That is going to go over into, I have too many windows, window management here. There we go. That's going to go, that token is going to go live right here under the username. That's going to allow us to authenticate to the stuff. I'm actually not going to save this because as I run the setup function, it's going to put in the correct token there. Don't save. But let's go through some information here on the WordPress sites. So there's the high level key is WordPress sites. You can have multiple sites available. And I do have one where I'm keeping track of a whole bunch of plugins, and I have multiple sites that live on the same droplet. But for the most part, you're going to have one droplet that has one site on it. And here it is. So we have here, Canonical is the domain that we are going to be mainly using. We're going to set up one redirect from the www, and it's going to go over to the Canonical. And from there, we're doing great. The local path, what this is saying is, where can I find the website that we're going to be working off? And so this right here is site. So for example, on the other one that has multiple different folders, instead of saying site, I have those listed out by name. And then in here, in the settings for Trellis, each of those are updated here to the folder that they actually live in. Additionally, the repo subtree path is going to just be site. That still represents the same folder. We just don't have the local on the front there. The repo, this is the actual repo that we are going to be pushing this up to. And so that's going to need to get updated as well. So these are just all of the pieces. I'll usually set this SSL enabled as true, and the provider is usually Let's Encrypt for production site. For the development site, if we jump over here, it's very similar key structure here. I will usually also make this be a true so that when we go through and we run the production, or we run the development site, it still has HTTPS as well. Okay, enough gabbing about all of the different things that you can go through and update. Like I said, I run this command, and this is one of those things that I'm going to put in the blog post that's attached to this this video. If you are interested in getting access to that, again, put some comments down below, and I will be happy to share with you where you can go through and get access to this setup script. So Trellis setup. Yep, Trellis setup. So what this is going to do, this is going to go through and basically follow a whole bunch of pieces that I feel like are important to do every time I set up a new site. So for example, if you see here, it put this under a Git repository, it initialized that. It's going to go out and make a new repository out in a specific organization that I have. It's going to create that. It's going to then do a bunch of the updates here, and then it's going to encrypt everything and push it up to the Git repository. It's also going to go through and create an S3 configuration so that if I wanted to put any objects or any files out on S3, or if I want or if I want to use any any third-party S3 apps or whatever, there's a bucket out there that allows me to do that. It will create the Amazon SES account. It's going to do a whole bunch of those different things just so that I don't have to remember to do them over and over, right? I want to automate my life as much as possible while going through and actually developing these websites for people. I got to make that, as streamlined as possible. So that just finished. It looks like it was successful. Whenever I run these Ansible things, sometimes they're not always successful. And I'm sure that we're going to run into that once or twice in this, but this time it was successful. So let's look at the production folder over here. We're under Trellis, group vars, production. And as you can see, this vault is now encrypted. So we can store this in our Git repository as this file, and we're good to go. The other piece is that the vault pass, I don't actually think I ever finished explaining about what I do with the vault pass. That's part of this process, right? Okay, so what I normally will do is because this gets pushed up, and sometimes I clean up this folder off my hard drive, this setup process will actually move the vault file into another folder on my hard drive where I keep all of the vault files for all the different sites that I do. And so then that file I don't ever clean those up. I make sure that that's safe, and that folder is then backed up, and this is then linked to that folder, which means that I can go through and I can still use it as if that vault pass file was local, but it's somewhere else, so that if this folder ever does get deleted or get moved or whatever, or re-cloned from the internet, I still have the ability to decrypt these files, and I can move forward with whatever it is. Okay, glad we got that out of the way. Next, underneath the vault or the WordPress sites, we actually have added some more information, right? We have our uploads bucket, uploads key, region, secret. All of that has then now been added and is valid, so that we can then start using the S3 bucket as a WordPress environment variable. But those values are saved in our vault here, so that we can keep things nice and secure and everything goes well. As you can see, this is now updated to the actual repo where this lives. This has all now been pushed up there. We are good to go. Okay, next we have our all of this stuff that we've already gone through. And as you can see, this enabled has been switched from the false that it was to the true, and we're golden. Love it. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we're going to be doing Trellis Vault, nope, not Vault, Trellis VM start. What this is going to do, this is going to start up a Lima box, which is just a virtual machine that lives locally on your computer. But it allows us to have a virtual machine running that then we can install the Ubuntu version that is going to be the same version that we put on production. And so even though our computer is running Mac OS, this is going to be an Ubuntu version, and then all of the software that needs to be installed is going to be provisioned onto that box, and we will then be able to have it be in sync with what the production looks like, so that we can go through and make it all work great. Anyway, it's right now downloading that the image that we're going to be using, and then it's going to go through and actually provision everything. We're going to let this run for just a minute. Sometimes in this job, in what I'm doing right here, there is a little bit of downtime. So I maybe, have a bad habit of just, scrolling a little bit while I wait for some of these things to finish. But in a live setting, we just have to wait for it. So, it does take a minute, and maybe it would be faster if I'm not streaming. Usually I feel like it is faster, but, we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Love it. I was just looking over here at my stream. I have been going for 46 minutes, which is great. One of the things that right now is, somewhat comforting is as much as I want to be, have a ton of people come and watch my videos and stuff, right now, while I am figuring out how to make it all work better, I am actually very happy to I'm very happy to not have people watching. I don't know if that makes sense, or if that resonates with anyone else, but right at the moment, my purpose is to just get these videos out here, show you what I learned, show you what I figured out, and that's my goal. Okay, next thing here is that it has started to do the provisioning of the server. What that means is just going through and installing all of the software needed to make sure that this WordPress runs correctly. So we're provisioning this. Additionally, if there's any time that you come and change any of these values, if you come in here and you go into this group vars and you change any of those values, you do need to go through and re-provision. To do that, you can do Trellis provision development. And again, all of that's in the documentation, but Trellis provision development is going to allow you to re-provision, and that is assumed to be a safe operation, meaning that you should be able to do that over and over, and it won't break anything, meaning that it's idempotent, right? So let's go. Yeah, so it's basically just installing all of this software. While we're waiting for that, one of the things, actually, we can't do that yet. One of the things I was thinking is we do need to update our DNS records for the future. We can't quite do that yet, though, because we don't know the IP address of the droplet this is going on to. So we're just gonna we'll hang out. We'll make it be awesome. Okay, while we're waiting. Oh yeah, this is not the right video anymore. Let's switch to this one. Maybe. Cancel. Oh, there you go. Okay. That's working. There we go. I figured I'd switch to this so we can just, chat a little bit more. One of the things that I'm working on doing is I want to, one of the reasons why I want to kind of give away some of this information is just because I feel like there's been a lot of work that I've put into figuring out some of this stuff, and I want to work on sharing it with people. See if there's any desire for helping, having other people understand what how to do this better. And I've had a lot of fulfillment in being able to, how would you say, build websites for people. um, like I said, I was able to go through and land a fairly large website gig this last month. And one of the pieces that I wanted to make sure of is that the process of me developing this website and delivering it is documented and available. Either if they want to go back and watch it in the future, if they need to go back and see what's going on with it, or perhaps if even perhaps if other people are interested in that. So anyway, we are still waiting on this. Some of these pieces, like for example, this is doing a package update. So if you were to log into this droplet with SSH and you do sudo apt update, that's what this is doing currently. Because this image maybe is a little bit older, that can take a little while to finish, and all those update packages do need to get sent over to this virtual machine and get installed, and then it can continue. It's moving forward. So like I was saying, this Trellis stack has been shown by, or has been put together by a bunch of people who really use this as their living. And I can't say enough thanks to the Trellis team for going through and putting this together. So yeah, props to them. What they've done is just, is quite amazing, actually. Let me see. Let's see. I think I might need to turn the volume down just slightly. Looks like I'm peaking just barely off of this microphone. There we go again. One of the amazing things is that we don't have to know all of the things that it's doing. Um, isn't that amazing? Like, we don't have to go through and set up all of the software. Um, the Trellis, Ansible playbook just does all of that for us. It's fantastic. I think that this process takes, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to finish going through and getting completed. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is that part of what the setup, part of what my setup script does is it actually comes in here and it adds some additional plugins to this list. And so the way that I use it is more of like a blueprint, right? So I will run the setup function, and it will come in here and it will install all of the different plugins that I think are important to just have on every website. Right at the moment, I'm only putting on here the Hello theme, Hello Elementor, and the Elementor plugin. But let's see, element. Yep, that's the one I want right there. We need a comma there. If there are other plugins that you frequently use, then you can add those to the setup script, and those will just be automatically installed as well. So let's talk about for a second while this is finishing. Um, how do I install this Pro plugin? This is a paid Pro plugin. How do I go through that process? Well, if you look up here under the repositories, this one is the private or the public repositories. We already talked about this a little bit in the wpackages.org, right? It's going to go through and it'll give us access to all of those public packages. This is something that I've been working on for a couple of years in terms of just, how do I really, really easily get access to all of the plugins that I've paid for, right? And so I want to actually jump over to this. Let's see. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this right at the moment because it's something that I would like to make another video about that's more specific. But the way that I have this set up, this is the Your Digital Toolbox tracking of private WordPress plugins. So the way this works is there is a software called StatusPress, which allows us to basically track private plugins. The problem that I run into with that particular plugin, and it's not really a failing of the plugin, it's a failing that if you install too many plugins on any WordPress website, then that WordPress website will start to crawl, slow down to a crawl. And so I don't want just one StatusPress website. I want multiple StatusPress websites with a subset of all of the different plugins that I'm tracking. So I have 1, 2, 3, I think I have 10 or 11 WordPress websites now that have all of my plugins installed on them, and they're activated so that they are continually receiving updates. Whenever there's an update that happens, this repo will go and get fetch and say, hey, do you have any updates? And when there are updates, then it will go through and it will push those updates into all of these individual plugin repos. What will then happen is it creates a Composer packages JSON file that can then be read by Composer. And then when we come over to our website and we say Trellis update or Composer update or whatever, Composer will go and read this file. It will then go and grab those. It's going to authenticate with that authentication that we already provided to Composer. And then those plugins then get installed. So as you can see up here, I have 277 or 276 because this is one of those inside of this organization here. And so anytime there's an update, then all of that happens with GitHub Actions. So if we take a look here at the actions, for example, this one here was scheduled. Let's take a look at it. So what happened is this check for updates ran. Let's see, run check for updates. So it talked to all of these different websites where I have different plugins installed. And then it found that there was one plugin that had an update. And so I have this set to run once a day. It will go and check each of these websites. If there's any updates, then it will grab those updates and it will store those in a tag inside of that plugin. So for example, this one was templately, right? And so if we, and then what happens is it deploys let's go back. This will deploy that, the Composer JSON file over to this location only if the check for updates was actually run. And then we can then pull those updates into each of our pieces. So for example, if we jump over here, this was the one that was just last updated. We can open this up and we can check there's 4 different tags here. You can see those are all the tags that have been collected for this private plugin. Now, whenever I go into my Trellis, I can say, hey, I would love to install this. And we can see here under our composer JSON, we can use WP developer /templately as the slug for installing this composer, this plugin into our WordPress website. All of this is handled up here on GitHub. It's something, this is kind of something that I have been working on, trying to figure out how to do this well for, it's been several years of me updating this or trying different things. I wrote my own solution once. This is kind of what is stuck. And, you know, if you're interested in it, check it out. Let me know. Add some comments down below. You know, fantastic. All right, let's go back and yeah, that's probably all you need to know about Ride at the moment. If you have questions about this, let me know. I'll make another video. It'd be great. Let's see where we're at with this. Looks like we're not quite finished. It does seem like this is taking longer while I'm streaming. So I don't know if it's because it has to download stuff or what, but you know, hey, just hanging out here with you. Looks like I have had 2 views and my average view duration is 15 seconds. You know, like I said before, that is great. I wonder if that is because I do have over here that the stream's current bitrate is lower than the recommended bitrate, you know? So I think that one of the pieces is I got to work on figuring out how to do this stream a little better, you know? Or I need to get a better, maybe it's more of a, maybe I need to get a better switch between my computer and my internet. Let's do a little speed test for a second. Maybe it's not a great idea to do a speed test while I'm streaming, but you know, who knows? Okay, download speed 372 megabits per second. Upload 21 megabits per second. And YouTube says it's not receiving enough video. So that's probably because I just did an upload test. So, you know, all right. Let's see, stream health. Stream status is poor. Interesting. Well, as I said before, we're going to be working on improving this. And if you have any pieces of advice for where I can go to learn more about how to do this, let me know. I am open to growing this and making this awesome. Also, you know, if I just go through and use this as clips in the future, that's great too. So, maybe I should pull this up on my phone and see how it's doing. Do you have any pieces of advice for where I can go to learn more about how to do this? Let me know. I am open to. Cool. No, it looks like it is working okay. Hey, and we've moved past here. Like I said, this might take a second. There are pieces of this where I'll go grab a drink. I'll go, go upstairs and go for a walk for a second, or even just go through and do some other stuff. It seems like this one took a little longer than usual, probably because my computer is doing other things at the same time. Maybe one of the pieces that I should do is maybe I need to have my dedicated streaming computer set up next to my Mac, and then I can just output the video from this computer and then dump that into the streaming computer that actually is running the stream. And maybe that will work. Who knows? This is going to be just a process of trial and error, and it's going to be great. Okay. For those of you, it looks like maybe we have one new person, maybe. That might just be me watching from my phone. Anyway, for those of you, if you are joining right now, what we're doing right now is installing our development environment using Trellis, Ansible, and Bedrock. So in just a moment here, when this finishes, we're going to be able to open up our website locally. We're going to be able to go through and do whatever development information that we want, and that's going to be great. Let's see. There is another set of plugins that I have started to use, and I really like the functionality of it. Let me see if I can pull that up here. Nope, it's not in this site. Let me go to a different one. Okay, right here. So one of the things that I've really appreciated is being able to use a login from the command line. I know that sounds kind of odd, but here is this is the what would you call this? This is the package to do that. So basically, what this allows us to do is this allows us to from a WP CLI command, it allows us to go through and log in a particular server, a particular user. Normally, I just do this. This is me that is the one that's being logged in. And then I'm able to go through and I don't have to go through the login page. It just opens up a web page to be able to go through and do that. So I'm going to add this here, and that way I can log in from the command line when this finishes. Okay, let's see. It says encoding overloaded. Try turning on video settings or using a faster encoding preset. Let's see if I can do that. Stream. Okay. I did update this to use more CPU. I don't know, maybe see if that helps. You know, settings. It's saying a stream a bitrate of 6,800 kilobits per second. So 6,800. I wonder what will happen if we do that. Okay. Um, okay, for those of you, if you're joining, what we're doing right now, we're waiting for Trellis to finish installing our WordPress site locally. As soon as that finishes, we're going to open it up and we're going to do that. I've been working on understanding how to do a better job on the stream, you know, so because I am getting information saying that I need to, oh, it does say that now, if you check out over here, it says that my stream status is good. So maybe upgrading this bitrate has helped that. I wonder how my my system settings are. How are we doing there? Let's see. Activity monitor. CPU. I mean, honestly, it doesn't look like my CPU is doing too bad. It says I have 30% idle, 36% idle. Huh. Okay, we're gonna click OK there. And okay. So let's see if this is finished yet. Okay, we're almost there, I think. Like I said, it seems like this is a little slower because I'm also streaming. It doesn't seem like it takes nearly this long if I just do this without other stuff. Other stuff running in the background as well. Closing out some of these other pieces. We are almost done though. We're getting closer. You know, normally whenever I go through the process of getting this installed, it does seem like it takes about maybe 10-15 minutes total. But after that, then, and it looks like we're done. Okay, cool. It says now that I have an excellent connection. Cool. So I think maybe I just needed to update some of those settings. We'll see. Who knows, right? Okay, back to actually doing this install. We have just finished this here. That means that we can jump over to our domain. And so dev-ydtb.link, I believe. Nope, not link, it's test. So the development version is going to be at test, right? Nope. Here, let's just, there is a command for this. I don't know if you know that, but Trellis open will open the development environment. Okay, so this is the next step we got here. If you click on this advanced button, so currently this certificate is not trusted. It is installed, it's just not currently trusted because it's a self-signed certificate. So what you can do is you can just click on this proceed to this, and it says it's unsafe. This is a self-signed certificate, so it is what it is, right? Now it's running here. It's running, and you can go through and get in, get logged in, and everything is going to work. But I want to show you the process for trusting this certificate, and we're going to do that two different ways. The first one is if you click on this not secure icon here, and now only do this if you actually trust the certificate. I know that every time I make a new self-signed certificate, it's not going to be trusted. So we're not going to do anything with it. If you see that message somewhere else on the internet, you need to be worried. But if you know that, it's not trusted because you just created it, no worries. Okay, click on certificate details. Then you can click on this details again. And this is going to show you dev-ydtb.test. You can click on this export button right here. And this is going to ask you to put this someplace. And so we can put this into, let's just put it into our downloads. Okay, and I'm actually going to move some of this stuff over so that I'm just going to archive all of this and let's see, dev-ydtb.test. YDT, oh, it's under D, dev, BC, D, this is the one right here. Okay. So sorry you didn't see that. It's fine. We're going to go over here. So next step for this is you're going to open up your keychain access. What this allows you to do, and this is going to ask you to put in your password a bunch of times, just because, they want you to know what you're doing here. So under your system, under the system keychains, what you're going to do, you're going to come over here under your downloads. And I just moved all of the downloads that were here into this archive. But what you're going to do is you're going to just come and drag the certificate that you just exported, drag this up here into your keychain access. So that's going to show up right here, but it's still not trusted yet. So you're going to double click on it, open trust. You're going to select always trust, close this out. It's going to ask you for your password one more time. And then it's going to be trusted. And then if you come back over here and refresh the page, let's see, I think actually I might need to clear the cache and cookies. But here, let's just do this. Oh, come on. Here, I'm gonna mess it up again. Test. Oh, maybe I was right. Okay. So this time, whenever I went here, now this certificate is trusted. So connection is secure. You're good to go. Now, again, I don't actually like doing it so many times. Like that seems like it's a little bit of work. And so I wrote a little script in part of the setup that helps us to fix that. So I'm going to actually come back over here and I'm going to delete this so that I can show you the other process. So that's the first way. That's doing it manually. If you don't want to do that, if you want to do it manually, then great. Oh my gosh. Okay, there it is. So like I said, you put in your password a bunch of times whenever you're doing that. Anyway, coming back to over here. So because this does require elevated permissions to do it, then we're going to use the sudo command, sudo trellis setup, and then what was the command? Yeah, so I think it's trust. So, oh yeah, tags. Okay, so that's what it is. Sudo trellis setup -- tags trust. And then it is going to ask us to put in the password again. And so it's going to go through this process. It's going to go grab the certificate. It's going to go and put it into our thing. And then we still have to put in our password because it still requires that. And then again, it's going to go through the process of trusting the certificate. If we refresh this here, you can see it's still trusted. Even though we deleted it from over here, it's back because we just re-added it using the Ansible script to make that happen. Okay, so now we have this website available for us to go through and edit. Are you so excited? So exciting. All right. So the next thing we're going to be doing is we're going to actually jump into the virtual machine to be able to run some of these commands. So we're going to do Trellis VM shell. So this is going to open up the shell so that we can then run some WordPress commands. We can basically, this is as if we are connected directly to the thing. So first thing I want to do is WP plugin list. All right. Okay, so here are the current plugins that are installed. I just added some of these other plugins that I want to have installed. So I'm going to run the composer update. And what this is going to do is this is going to go out and fetch all of the new plugins. It's going to make sure that, let's see, did I not save this? Maybe we should save this. Try this again. Okay, let's try this a slightly different way. I'm going to go and I'm going to say Trellis, that's not Trellis, composer require, and we're going to paste that in there. Oh, maybe it is already there. Let's well, plugin list. Ah, just kidding. It was there the whole time. All right. Okay, so we do need to activate that though. So let's do this. We're going to do WP plugin activate, and we're going to paste that in there. See if it's activated. Okay, and the point of this, what we're trying to do right now, is I would like to log in without going and looking at my password, because it's a big long password. Let's see. This is the one. Okay, here we are. WP login as admin. Someday. Let's see. I'm going to close that chat. Okay. Huh. This normally doesn't take this long either. I do wonder if it's struggling because I'm also streaming. Might be something I need to consider. Okay, so what this has just done, this has given me a URL that I can click on, and it will open up this right here for me. And what that allows you to do is log in without being, it allows you to log in without needing a password or anything. But you do have to have direct access to the server to be able to do that. So anyway, perfect. We are now in to the admin dashboard. Okay, so you can go through, configure everything, do everything you need to make this work. You can activate the different plugins. You can add new plugins. My recommendation is that as you add new plugins, make sure that you're adding them through Composer. And we did do that over here. So Composer, require, and then whatever the slug is for your plugin, that's going to allow you to go through and have everything tracked correctly so that all of this isn't so basically if you were to add a plugin through the admin interface and then push this into production without requiring it over here, what will happen is that plugin will be missing because it was installed locally here, but it's not going to be there. So what does that mean? We're going to I'm going to basically pretend that from this point we've gone through and we've added all of the different plugins that we're going to, and this could be an iterative process, right? You can come in here and add more plugins later, but what we're going to be doing next is I'm going to go through and push this into an actual website. We're going to do that next. First things though, I have some changes here in my folder that I would like to get updated. I have also written, this is another plugin that a Trellis plugin that I wrote called Update. And basically all this does is this adds a, this commits all of the files that are currently changes in the repository, and it pushes those up to the remote. So okay, and so here we're going to do Trellis update and then a message so that we can go through and that will add all of those files. It's going to push that up to the remote, and we're ready then to move forward. If we wanted to just take a look, you can see that all of those pieces have been installed where they need to be, and we're golden. Okay, so the next piece is that we're going to be doing we're going to be uh, installing this onto a DigitalOcean droplet. Trellis has options for creating that droplet right here, as long as you have set up Trellis to be able to do that. If we need to, we can just point out in the documentation where you can find that. Trellis CLI, DigitalOcean. Let me see if I can find the documentation for that. Okay, so yeah, right here, come on. There it is, found it. Deploying Trellis to DigitalOcean. Trellis droplet create production will go through and actually create it at DigitalOcean for you. All you need to do is have your DigitalOcean access token environment variable set. You can go through this information here to be able to actually create that. Click on this link there. So that being said, let's jump back over here. Trellis droplet create production. And we're actually going to do, I'm going to do -H for a second, because one of the pieces that I want to do is I want to skip provisioning to start with. And here's why. What happens is in my settings, I've elected to use the use Let's Encrypt to create an SSL certificate for the droplet. And I recommend that you do that as well. But to be able to do that, the domain, the DNS, needs to be pointing to the IP address of your droplet. But we don't know what that droplet is yet. So we can't do this yet until we go through and update our CloudFlare to have the IP address. So we're going to skip the provisioning so that nothing happens until we do that save, and then we're good to go. So Trellis droplet create, skip provision production. It's going to go through and ask us where we want to put this. I'm going to put this in San Francisco too. You can choose the size of droplet that you want. For most things, a $6 droplet is going to get you, it's going to get you pretty far. So you can say what the droplet name is, and it's going to go through and create this server. It's going to then update the Trellis configuration for where that host is, and then we need to take that IP address and put that into our CloudFlare. So we're going to just wait for just a second for that to finish. We're going to go put that into our CloudFlare, and then we're going to go through and finish provisioning our droplet here. Here's my hope. My hope is that when we deploy it into the production, that because all of those commands are running remotely, they're not going to be slowed down by this stream. Okay, so we've got this is our IP address, and we're going to drag this over here. And so this is our domain. We're going to click on add record. I'm going to put in the IP address. Oh, no, just kidding. I'm going to do @ as root there. Put that in there. We're going to turn off this for now, and we're going to save that one. Then we also need to add one more. Remember, we also have a www, and we're going to also point that same thing to right there. Okay, Now that both of these are active on our DNS, then we can go through and do our provisioning. It also lets me help you see what the provisioning command looks like. It's super easy, but there are times when I will not do the skip provisioning with the intent that I can come in here and do this update fast enough that when the Trellis provisioning, um, if I can do this before that gets to the provisioning of the Let's Encrypt, then it all works. So let's see. So we're going to jump back over to our Trellis over here. Trellis, provision, production, boom. There we go. It's going to go through and do this. I'm actually going to go and grab, I'm going to grab a little bit of a drink here. Oh, make sure you do this. Yes. It's a new host. So, I'm going to go grab a drink. Be right back. Okay. We are going through the process of provisioning for the first time. I have found that when you provision the next couple of times, if you ever make changes, it goes a lot faster. That's obviously because it doesn't need to redo a bunch of stuff. You can see there's different pieces that it skips, or depending on different criteria, things can run or be skipped. Um, you know, Hey, it does look like the stream is doing excellent. So it looks like me changing some of those settings has been beneficial for making the stream a little better. If you have any questions or comments, or any comments about how to make the live streams better, let me know. We are in the process of learning as we're going. Also, I'm going to be doing more of these streams, just because I feel like it's a little easier for me to put the things out there that I'm working on that are top of mind. And so my question for you is, if there are things that you would like to know about that I seem to have a little bit of experience with, let me know. I will go over some of those pieces, and it'll be awesome. Let's see. Let me know in the comments below, what is your drink of choice? Yeah. So I think that in the past I've been pretty heavy on the Mountain Dew. I have really enjoyed that. Recently, though, I've switched to Dr. Pepper. You know, we'll see how it goes. I saw a reel the other day, and he was saying that Dr. Pepper is 2 parts Coca-Cola, 1 part root beer. That seems kind of wild to me, because I don't feel like they taste anything the same. Like I don't particularly like Coca-Cola, but I love Dr. Pepper. I don't know. Who knows, right? Let me know in the comments below. We are making good progress through the installation on the server side. And in just a minute here, we're going to be able to, in a minute here, we're going to be able to go through and uh, open up our WordPress website, living on the internet, and it's going to be great. Obviously, we didn't do any real configuration in our WordPress, but that would take a lot more time, and that'll be additional videos in the future. We're going to be doing that. Like I said, we have I closed a deal with a group that is doing a community, um, and they're a Christian based group, and they're looking to share some of their courses that they've been putting out. So far, they've been doing all of their work in person, and they wanted to take this in a little bit more into the digital age and have some digital courses put together. So we're going to be going through and showcasing how to use BuddyBoss and how to go through and use LearnDash, and we'll even get into using FunnelKit for developing some of the sales funnel type pieces for their website. So stay tuned; it's going to be great. Any questions will be, yeah, be awesome. I have seen a few people popping on and off. It looks like I've had 5 views so far, which, like I said before, I'm excited to have not very many people watching right now, just so that I can like work out all of the bugs and work out all the pieces for how to do these streams and how to not to have too many people. But if you are jumping on, love to see any questions. So what I should do, I should go back and actually do a timer for how long this takes the first time, and roughly, and how long this takes on subsequent times. Also, one of the other pieces that may be affecting this is with some of the bigger websites that I run, I do have a higher price droplet, which is going to have a faster CPU. It's going to have better RAM and all of that. And so maybe one of the pieces is that um, uh, I experience a much faster process through this because it's just a better droplet. On this one I picked like the lowest tier droplet, so who knows, right? Looks like there's one more. There's one concurrent viewer. Fantastic. Looks like they just left. It's great, you know. So if you notice over here under the Trellis directory, under hosts and production, it automatically added the IP address for our production host as part of the droplet create command. And so that we're going to need to store this in our Git repository. We can probably do that right here. Normally I do that from the command line, but added Okay. As you can see, this is almost finished. We're now running through some of these handlers. It looks like everything has gone to plan. See that? It's fantastic. I'm going to just open up a new window over here. Let's see. Okay, and this is not going to work, but I just want to show you what it looks like. dev-ydtb.link. Oh no, internal server error. Well, the reason for this is because we haven't actually deployed the website to this space yet. What's happened is all of the software is here, all of the software is ready to run, but it's not currently on here. So what we need to do is we need to do a deploy. So Trellis deploy production. Right there. Trellis deploy production. What that's going to do, that's going to push all of our web files that are over here under the site. Come on. Under our site, all of these files are going to get pushed up onto our website, and that's going to start working. It will grab all of the plugins that are listed under our Composer JSON file. It's going to install all of those automatically, and we will be cooking. Lovely. It looks like that has just finished. And so what let's try and do, let's jump back over here, and we're going to push enter, refresh the page. We now have the WordPress login screen. We are making great progress through this, right? Now, I'm not going to fill this out because I actually want to, like, if you had gone through and done all of your development in your local site, you want to have all of that information pushed up into your production site. So instead of installing this here, I'm going to do Trellis sync. This is, again, a plugin that I have that allows you to do this sync. Trellis sync, and I'm going to do H on this just to kind of get the gist of this. So Trellis sync production db up, or let's probably all up. If you have pictures, if you have other pieces, there's the two pieces. There's the media files, and then there is the database. So you can separate that out and do one or the other, or you can do all and up. And so that's going to push all of the pieces, both the media files and the database. It's going to push that up into the production environment. Now, that is going to overwrite things on the production environment. So I would normally only recommend this one time, right? This is only going to be something that you're going to want to do towards production. I'm sorry, away from production. What I mean by that is you don't want to be overwriting anything that's happening in production. So what's going to be important is in the future, you can pull things out of production and test them in your local environment or test them in the staging environment, but you don't want to be overwriting production. At any rate, we have now finished that. That was successful. Let's again refresh this page here, admin, and now we have this login. I don't actually know what the password is though. So let me go look up the password. I'm gonna do it over here just to make sure nothing is. Let's see. So I'm doing Trellis Vault Decrypt to decrypt the vault. And then I'm going to go look at the development. And I know this is the production, but we just pushed our development database into the production. And so I'm going to go look at what the admin password is. That's a wild password. Admin, and paste that. There you are. It logs us in. And now you can go through and continue customizing. You can do anything you need to here. You can add additional users, whatever it is that you need to do with your new WordPress installation. Okay, now let's start talking a little bit about if you are trying to do this process and something isn't working, right? I have put together a community over here under yourdigitaltoolbox.com, and I'm going to be starting to push more posts into your digital toolbox. So if you have questions or you would like some additional support in developing a website, developing an agency for helping other people, come and join me. Come and check it out. You can click on sign up over here. That allow you to log in with your Google or with with the Twitter account, or sign up with your username and password. We're going to be adding a whole bunch of information here. I have additional groups over here of different things that I'm going to be working on, whether that's marketing or video production, list building, website building, automation. All of that is going to start getting put into some of these locations. So if you have any questions here, let's switch this back over to the little bit wider view here. If you have any questions, come over, join the group. The information about this particular video and some of that is going to be under a post over here. So I'm going to be adding a post here in just a bit after the stream finishes. And if you have any questions, come on over, join the community, and I'm excited to get to know you. All right. I think that's all for today. That's I don't know, that's a good, we're at a good 2 hours. I know that seemed like it was a little longer. I think a lot of it was that my computer's being slow. And I'll work on seeing how to make that faster in the future. But at the same time, a lot of it was automated and I was doing a lot of explaining. So all right. That is fantastic. Excited to start doing some more of these. I feel like that turned out okay. And sign off. Check with you later.